Shalom, shalom. So like I said in my last message, man, the Most High is always speaking, and he was dealing with me about this serpent, you know, um, and so today we gonna deal with this serpent. You know what I'm saying? Because um, one thing about a serpent is a serpent will bite you. You can't trust a snake. If you put your trust in a snake, you definitely gonna get bit by that snake. You know what I mean? A snake is not to be trusted. We understand that uh, a snake, certain snakes can be venomous. You see, and so dealing with this snake, I was talking to this guy the other day, and he was telling me, he was like, his grandma told him a story that, a man, on his way home, seen a snake in the grass, and it was cold outside, and the snake was frozen. So he tried to help the snake out by putting it in his pocket, to warm it up so it could get warm and unthaw. And just as soon as, the serpent unthawed, um, it bit him. You see what I'm saying? And so that is basically relative, or correlates with the serpent in the garden. You see, and so what we have to understand is that when, he said that there was a serpent in the garden, that he was talking about the attributes of this animal, of this beast that couldn't be trusted in the garden. You see what I'm saying? And it was the serpent that beguiled the woman, who beguiled the man. And a lot of women, they like to say, "Oh well, Adam was the leader, and he shouldn't have never followed the woman, and it was his fault. He needs to take accountability." But it goes all the way back to the garden, that women don't take accountability either. You see what I'm saying? Because when they sinned, Adam was like, "This woman that you gave me," it was the woman. And it goes to show today that a lot of our women, they don't like to be accountable. Here in this land, they have been spoiled and given the power, and I'm just speaking the truth. Even though us as men, we have been wrong, but look who we've been raised by. Look who our captors caused us to raise us to be physically strong, but mentally weak. You see what I'm saying? So that's why you see a lot of men following after these women. That's why you see a lot of men, getting deleted behind these women, because these women, they want to play games with you. They want to have you and have somebody else, and in between them two guys, somebody gonna get deleted. You know what I'm saying? If especially when one of them is not really operating as a man, who doesn't know how to who is not emotionally intelligent, let's say that. And so, it goes back to the serpent in the garden, that this woman, listened to and caused man to neglect the word of God, to neglect Torah. At that time, Torah was being taught orally, because when you go back and read in Genesis, that the God, or Elohim, or Yahuwah, would come down in the cool of the day, or the Malachim, which are the sons of God. They would come down in the cool of the day, because they representing God, so are representing Yahuwah. That's still Yahuwah. And they would come down and they would teach man, what was required of him. Torah has always been here since the beginning. But anyway, not to get off subject, this woman, listening to this serpent, misused her power to Man, this fly is bothering me. Every time I get to doing something, here come these flies. But she used her power, to cause her man to fall. You know what I'm saying? When she was created to support, when she was created to follow, and I'm pretty sure Adam, had already laid down the law and told her what she could eat. She knew what tree she couldn't eat of, and she ate of it anyway. You know what I'm saying? And because Adam was the one that was given the instructions, and she wasn't, meaning that she wasn't gonna be held accountable, because she was the weakest link, and the man is gonna be held accountable. When she ate, their eyes wasn't open until he ate. But if she would have just followed instructions like she was supposed to, and not entertaining these serpents, then that wouldn't have happened. So we all have to take accountability for our actions. But anyway, that's not my point. My point is to that the serpent, because the serpent did that in the garden, we have to go back to Moshe. And Moshe, in Numbers 21, we're going to start at number. Well, that when they were coming out of Egypt, one of the first signs that Elohim did with Moshe was the serpent. And so we know that the Bible teaches us to be wise as a serpent and humble as a dove, right? And so or meek as a dove. Let's say meek, not humble, but meek as a dove. And so we understand that that the serpent is symbolic to wisdom. You know what I mean? And so this was how Satan, or how Satan, or the devil, deceived the woman and the man. By going through the woman, he deceived the man, because when he saw that nothing happened to her, he thought that it was okay, and he participated. You see what I'm saying? And so the thing is that one of the first miracles that Moshe did in Egypt was cast his staff down, and it became a serpent. You see what I'm saying? Because that represented the wisdom of God. You see what I'm saying? The wisdom of Elohim, the wisdom of Yahuwah. That's what that represented when he threw his staff down and it turned into a serpent. And so the false prophets, being able to conjure and do the same thing and throw their staffs down and cause their staffs to become serpents, was eaten up by Moshe's serpent. You see what I'm saying? By Moshe's serpent, by his wisdom. So, which was symbolic to the wisdom of Yahuwah being greater than the wisdom of the false gods. You see what I'm saying? And that's why you see the serpent ate up the other two serpents. So you're always seeing that the Most High is dealing with the serpent, because it's the wisdom of Yah versus the wisdom of the fallen ones. You see what I'm saying? Which you can locate in Genesis 6 if you want to read about them. And so which the Most High dealing with me told me, basically placed this on my heart, to why Numbers 21 and 6. And so Yahuwah sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and much people of Yasharel died, because the serpent is symbolic to sin. Let's go up a little bit and read. So the people were speaking against Moses at the time, or against Moshe, which Moshe was at that time a representative of the word. So they was basically rejecting the word like our people have done today. You know what I mean? And so And it says, and the people spake against Elohim and against Moses, because when you speak against his servants, you speak against God. When you reject his servants, you reject Yahweh, God, Elohim. Wherefore have ye brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no bread, neither is there any water, and our soul loatheth this light bread. So they hated the light bread, the manna, which Elohim caused them to eat from heaven. They loathed the Torah. They loathed the instructions, because we understand that Yahushua HaMashiach was the bread of life. You know what I mean? He was the manna that came down from heaven. That, that's why in the Boshar or in the Brit Hadashah, the Most High says that he knows what you have need of before you ask. Does he not clothe the earth with grass? Is his eyes not on the sparrow? Does he not feed the birds and everything in the earth? You see what I'm saying? So he knows what you have need of before you ask. You see what I'm saying? And that's why he commands us to seek ye first the kingdom, because the manna is the kingdom. It came from heaven. The manna came from the kingdom, from the mind of God. The word came from the mind of God, the mind of Yahweh. You see what I'm saying? So that was seeking ye first the kingdom of heaven and all its righteousness, which Torah is the righteousness, and all the things shall be added unto you. But they didn't want to seek, they didn't want to seek the Torah. They loathed the manna, you know what I'm saying, coming out of Egypt, and being able to have those things readily available to them. You see what I'm saying? And so it says, and Yahweh sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and much people of Yasharel died. Because the Bible says, I think it's in Romans 3:23, that the wages of sin is death, if I'm not mistaken. But I know it's somewhere in Romans where it says the wages of sin is death. So that's what the serpent represented, because when they was in the garden, the serpent basically bit them. You see what I'm saying? Which caused them to die. You see what I'm saying? And in this instance too, the serpent, bit them, which the serpent is sin, and it caused them to die, because the wages of sin is death. And anytime you live in sin, the judgment of Elohim comes up on you. And so that's basically what you were seeing, was the judgment coming up on them. Therefore the people came to Moses and said, we have sinned, for we have spoken against Yahweh. They spoke against his word. All his word, we don't got to keep his word. We don't got to keep the dietary laws. We don't got to keep the laws of cleanliness. We don't have to keep the feast days. We don't have to not look upon our brother's nakedness and our father's nakedness. We can do whatever we want, and God gonna forgive us anyway, because we the chosen people. And it don't work like that. And so he goes on to say that he take away the serpents from us. And Moses prayed for the people. And Yahweh said unto Moses, make thee a fiery serpent, and set it up on a pole, and it shall come to pass that every one that is bitten, when he looketh upon it, shall live. And Moses made a serpent of brass, and put it up on a pole. And it came to pass that if a serpent had bitten any man, when they beheld the serpent of brass, he lived. So brass represents judgment. So when they looked upon the serpent, then they lived. Because when you looked upon the wisdom of Yahweh, then that's how you live. Because the word of in the scriptures, it says that the beginning of wisdom is the fear of Yahweh, or the fear of God. So in order to gain wisdom, you have to first fear God. What is fear? Reverencing God. How do you reverence him? By reverencing his word. You see what I'm saying? So now we're going to go to the New Testament, where he was hung on the cross, and that was symbolic to the serpent, which Moshe, the fiery serpent, which I just read to you. And the Lord sent fiery serpent. Therefore the people came to Moses and said, "We have sinned, for we have spoken against the Lord and against thee. Pray unto the Lord, or to Yahuwah, that we take away the serpents from us." And Moses prayed for the people. And Yahuwah said unto Moses, "Make thee a fiery serpent, and set it up on a pole." Yahusha, who was the son of Elohim, or the son of Yahuwah, the only begotten son, was hung from a pole. You see what I'm saying? And so it came to pass that everyone that is bitten, when they look up on it, shall live. So when you get into your word every day, you're looking in the word, and you're searching the word, searching the Torah, and finding out that what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. You see what I'm saying? And when you find out, when you study to show thyself approved through his Torah, and you find out that you ain't supposed to be eating this, these are the real feast days. You're not to look up on the nakedness of your father or your brother or your woman's sister. You see what I'm saying? When you find out that you're not supposed to after you do certain things, you are to handle situations a certain way. That's why you have to go read the Torah to find out what's acceptable. So we're gonna go to bear with me. Like I say, I don't really prepare for things. When the Spirit moved me, then that's when I go. That's when I get into action. But we're gonna go to Matthew, because Matthew is one of Matthew is one of the one of the most better versions. So we're gonna go to Matthew 28, which is where Yahuwah was crucified. Or is it 29? Hold on just a minute. Bear with me. Alright, so it is 20, Matthew 28. Then said Yeshua unto them, "Be not afraid, go tell my brethren that they go into Galilee, and there shall they see me." Hold on. We in 27. Therefore, we're going to start at verse 17. Oh, excuse me. We're going to start at verse 14. And he answered unto him to never word, insomuch that the governor marveled greatly. Now at the feast the governors were wont to release unto the people a prisoner whom the world whom they would. And they had then a notable prisoner called Barnabas. Therefore, when they were gathered together, Pilate unto them, "Whom will ye that I release unto you, Barabbas or Yahusha, which is called Hamashiach?" And so we see in the last about a couple videos back, I spoke on this about how it was because we crucified an innocent man that we went into slavery. You see what I'm saying? And so, for he know that for envy they had delivered him. When he was set down on the judgment seat, his wife sent unto him, saying, "Have thou nothing to do with this just man? For I have suffered many things this day in a dream because of him." But the chief priests and elders persuaded the multitude that they should ask Barabbas and destroy Yahusha. The governor answered and said unto them, "Whither of the twine will ye that I release unto you?" They said, "Barabbas." Pilate said unto them, "What shall I do with Yahusha, which is called Hamashiach?" they all say unto him, let him be crucified. And the governor said, why? What evil hath he done? But they cried out the more, saying, let him be crucified. And when Pilate saw that he could prevail nothing, but that rather a tumult was made, he took water and washed his hands, which is under the clean hands doctrine, and before the multitude, saying, I am an innocent of the blood of this just person. See ye to it. Then answered all the people and said, his blood be on us and on our children. Now remember that we're going to come back to this verse right here, and we're going to go to Exodus. We're going to go to Exodus. I think it is 24. It might be 19. Let me see. Just bear with me for a minute. It's 20. Yeah, it's 20. Okay, hold on just a second. Bear with me. I think it's 24. And let's see. And Moses came and told the people all the words of Yahuwah and all the judgments, and all the people answered with one voice and said, all these words which Yahuwah have said, will we do. And Moses wrote all the words of Yahuwah, and rose up early in the morning and builded an altar unto the hill, and 12 pillars, according to the 12 tribes of Yasharel. And he sent young men of the children of Israel, which offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto Yahuwah. And Moses took half the blood and put it in a basin, and half the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people. And they said, all that Yahuwah have said will we do, and be obedient. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people, and said, behold, the blood of the covenant. So they made a covenant. This is why we are this is why I can't think of the word for the lack of words. This is why the covenant was given to us. This is why we are the ones that are supposed to be teaching it. And so then went up Moses and Aaron and Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Yasharel. Now let's go back to Matthew. I'm almost done. I'm about to close. Matthew 27. I think it was 26. Let me see. Okay, yeah. So now we in I think it was 26 where we was. Let me see. Yeah, we was in 26 where they gave him up. I think, like I said, I don't really plan for too much. I just, let the Spirit lead me. But we're going to go over to 27. Okay, yeah, that's where we was. And when Pilate saw okay. Now, we at 25. Then answered all the people and said, his blood be on us and on our children. So now you see, I took you to Exodus where they had made the covenant. And so now this is why the blood was on our hands. This is why, we were taken into captivity and spread it throughout the four corners of the earth. And over here in the land that we are in now is where we suffered the most abuse. And so they released Barabbas unto them, and when he had scourged Yeshua, remember, scourged mean he was beaten, by his stripes, right? The same thing that happened to our ancestors, during slavery. They were beaten. This is why. Um, then the soldiers of the governors took Yeshua into the common hall and gathered unto him the whole band of soldiers, and they stripped him and put on him a scarlet robe. So now we made mockery of the word. The Gentiles, the heathen, they made mockery of the word because we mocked it. You know, I could go into other things, but I ain't. And when they had platted a crown of thorns, they put it up on his head and a reed in his right hand, and they bowed the knee before him and mocked him, saying, Hail, King of the Jews. And they spit up on him and took the reed and smote him on his head. And after that they mocked him. They took the robe off from him and put his own remnant on him and led him away to crucify him. So they mocked him and took off the robe, because he was the king in the earth, you know what I'm saying, and in the heavens, but in the earth he came. That's how he came down. You see what I'm saying, in his flesh. But he didn't violate the rules, as far as like the fallen ones did. They wasn't supposed to. They violated the natural law. Basically, they violated the realm of law, by basically coming out of the spiritual realm into the physical realm, and having relationships with women, and causing a creation to be in the earth that wasn't supposed to be here. And so Hamashiach, understanding that, or Elohim Yahuwah, understanding that this is how he created the order, because the Most High does everything in order. You know what I'm saying? We the only ones that don't follow orders. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't have a problem with following orders, but at the same time, it can't be oppressive. You see what I'm saying? And so at the same time, he came through a virgin, through the canal. You see what I'm saying? Through the matrix. You know what I'm saying? So that that he could heal the land, heal the people, and reconcile us back to the Father. You know what I'm saying? That's why he came. He didn't come to die for us. He came to reconcile us back to the word. Just like when Moshe didn't make it into the kingdom, because the first time he told him to strike the rock, and the second time he told him to speak to it. And that's what you see us doing now, is speaking to the rocks, because y'all harder than a rock. Y'all heart is calloused. You know what I'm saying? And so we speaking to these rocks, and he said that if the people won't cry out, if the people won't worship me, then I would cause the rocks to cry out to me. You see? So, and after that, they had mocked him. They took the robe off of him and put on his own remnant of him and led him away to crucify him. And as they came out, they found a man of Sisera. I want to go down, though, because I'm trying to get to somewhere. And they crucified him and parted his garments, casting lots, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the prophets. They parted my garments among them, and upon my vesture did they cast lots. And sitting down, they washed him there, and set up over his head his accusations written, This is Yahusha, the King of the Jews. And that's why it looked like a cross, because the thing that they had hung over his head. Then were there two thieves crucified with him, one on the right hand and another on the left, which represented the spirit and the soul, the flesh and the soul. The soul was pleading to be saved. The flesh didn't want. The flesh was disrespectful, because the flesh don't want to follow the spirit. Yahusha was the spirit, the word hung up on the cross, or on the stake, excuse me. And that they passed by, reviled him, wagging their heads. Like, have you ever seen somebody do that? When, what I'm saying, they don't say some stuff about you, and then they pull up right to you, and, pull up right in front of you and look at you and be like, what I'm saying? Have you ever seen that? I've seen it plenty of times. And saying that they destroyed the temple and built it in 3 days. Save thyself if thou be the son of Elohim, come down from the cross. Well, anyway, what I was trying to get to is they took him to Galgath. You know, Galgath was the altar. You know what I mean? And there, you know, is where he died. You know, basically. Anyway, my point is that the serpent was lifted up at that time when he was placed on the pole, or on the so-called cross. You know, he was hung from a tree, which the cross was made of wood. So he was hung from a tree, from a stake. You see what I'm saying? And so he was lifted up. You know, and now that he has been lifted up, and the word has been established in the earth, now we are to look upon the word, upon the Torah, upon his vesture, so that we can be healed. And it's only through the word that we can be healed. There is no other way. There you can't, you know, all these this magic going on in the church where they casting out spirits and stuff and doing all it. You know, it's only the word that can cast the spirit out. You know what I'm saying? You know, if a person ain't keeping Torah and ain't reading Torah and you know, not disciplining themselves, you're not gonna get rid of that spirit. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, some of these spirits don't come out except for fasting and praying. That means you gotta be in your word, and you gotta be fasting and praying to God to deliver you, to Yahweh to deliver you. So I hope I was able to help someone. Like, share, and subscribe. You know what I'm saying? And if you would like to give a donation, Cash App Prince Heavy D, man. Peace and blessings.